Well, fentanyl is 50 to 100 times stronger than morphine, and NBC 10 News found out that it's plaguing our local streets. NBC 10's Nick Sommer has the latest information you need to know about this dangerous drug.
According to the CDC, over 100,000 people in the United States died from drug overdoses and drug poisonings in the 12-month period ending in January of 2022. A staggering 67% of those deaths involved synthetic opioids like fentanyl.
It's a synthetic opioid. It was made, first synthesized in, I believe, 1960. It's for cancer patients. It's been used and threatened to be used as a chemical reagent for a weapon of war. And what we see going on now is it's being mixed into drugs that we have moving around the United States, whether it be pills, whether it be powders, or whether it be liquids.
The Louisiana Opioid Surveillance Program is tracking an increase in drug overdose deaths occurring in Louisiana, largely due to a surge in the presence of illicitly manufactured fentanyl. Fentanyl is 80 to 100 times more potent than morphine and extremely deadly. Varying amounts of fentanyl and fentanyl-related compounds have been found in counterfeit pills and other illicit drugs, increasing the risk of fatal and non-fatal overdoses.
But it's in everything. I believe DEA, Drug Enforcement Administration labs now are testing like 62% of all the drugs that they get through there, whether it be cocaine, methamphetamine, hydrocodone, Xanax. They all have fentanyl. The pills are being pressed by these illegal drug organizations, and it looks just like the ones you might get from a local pharmacy, but you don't know it. And they add fentanyl into it because the price of fentanyl is cheaper, and they can make more of a profit out of it when they sell it. But if you get the one pill that has, 50% of the fentanyl in it, you're dead automatically. And you can't look at it. It's a silent killer. Literally, you can't look at it and tell if it's got fentanyl in it or not.
The increase in the supply and distribution of illicitly manufactured fentanyl has caused a steady increase in overdose deaths since 2014 that spiked in 2020 and continued into 2022. Just this little amount of fentanyl is strong enough to kill one individual.
It depends on your tolerance. If you have used it for years, you can tolerate more of it than some. But 11 grains of salt, if you can imagine that, that's enough theoretically to kill a person. A kilo of fentanyl, which is 2.2 pounds, is enough to kill 500,000 people.
On December 3rd, Monroe police responded to 4 overdose deaths believed to be related to fentanyl. Due to the low cost and increased availability, powdered fentanyl has become a common ingredient in all illicit drugs, including heroin, cocaine, methamphetamine, and ecstasy.
What we're seeing now is they're making analogs of fentanyl, carfentanil and otherwise. I believe fentanyl is 50 times stronger than heroin, and some of these analogs are hundreds to 200 to 300 times stronger than heroin. They use it as an elephant tranquilizer. They use it for cancer patients and burn patients. It's an extremely powerful opiate.
For recovering addict Caitlin Keppinger, she knows all too well the dangers of opioid addiction.
4.5 years ago, fentanyl was just hitting the streets. I did use it a few times. I'm very lucky that I'm still here. But yeah, for about 10 years of my life, I was completely dependent upon opioids. Everything I touched, I destroyed. I was a menace to society until I found recovery.
Similar to other opioids, fentanyl produces effects such as relaxation, euphoria, pain relief, sedation, confusion, drowsiness, and dizziness.
What we're seeing now is people doing really small amounts of whatever they think it is. Whether it's heroin, they think they're doing, some people think they're doing cocaine, some people think they're smoking weed, and they're coming to our clinic and they're failing for fentanyl. If they make it to our clinic, because we're seeing a lot of people die.
Caitlin says she's reminded of the horrors of opioid addiction every day, working in the recovery center.
I'm around it every day. I'm reminded of the dark, hopeless places that I used to be every day, and I'm reminded how I do not want to go back.
Physician Cesar Gonzalez explains just how quickly one can become addicted to opioids.
Think about a susceptible individual. Say they're dealing with pain. Say it's not necessarily physical pain. Maybe it's psychic pain, like depression, anxiety, these type of things that we're all struggling with. You give someone something like that, and it sets off a phenomenon where it's first novel and it's more intense than we anticipated, man, we start to chase that.
In the past 24 months, New Hope Addiction Recovery Center in Monroe has seen a 20 to 40% increase in the amount of people needing help with opioid addiction.
I'd say in the last 2 years, we've probably seen about a 20 to 40% increase in the amount of intakes and phone calls, which should be pretty alarming, but also very hopeful.
If you or anyone you know is struggling with opioid addiction, please visit our website, myark-la-miss.com, for a full list of treatment and recovery centers. Reporting in Monroe for your Ark-La-Miss news source, I'm Nick Sommer.